All right, I'd like to welcome you to this edition of In the Conference Room with Marquez Lee. I want you to sit back and relax, enjoy the conversation as we do this all the time. And we talk to business leaders from across the great city of Detroit, the state of Michigan, as well as across the country. Hey, by the way, have you noticed the weather? You think the weather has finally changed? I've been going back and forth between the heater and the AC. I don't know what's going on. I think my furnace is confused. I'm confused. But
Sure hope
anyway,
it's here to stay because I put away my snow shovel, Mark.
we want you to sit back and relax and enjoy the conversation. And I'm so pleased to welcome Mr. Trish Dewald. And she's going to tell us about Mondo Unlimited, where she's the founder and the CEO, to the conference room. We're going to have a nice casual conversation. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to the conference room's YouTube channel as well. And don't forget to spread the word and tell everybody about this conference room, which I've been doing for years, going back to the radio days, as you know, and it's a blast. All right, Trish, thanks for joining me in the conference room. How you doing?
I'm great and grateful to be here with you.
It's been a while. We were just talking about it's been a while since we last connected.
I missed you on Mackinac this year, but there's always next year.
Absolutely. I didn't quite make it this year. To all of you who went to Mackinac, we hope it was worthwhile. And welcome back to Detroit and wherever you might be. So hopefully those were very good meetings. All right, let's jump right into the conversation. You're the founder and CEO of Mondo Unlimited. Exactly what is Mondo Unlimited and how did you get to launching your own organization?
What is Mondo? Well, we exist to serve the social impact sector. We are servants, and most of our clients come to us looking for help with fundraising, though we know that fundraising is really so much more than just asking for money. And so we have two business arms. One is the consulting practice, and the other is talent placement. So we're really matchmakers in the nonprofit industry. And I started the firm in 2022, really because I was looking for a consultancy that was like the kind of partner that I needed when I was sitting in the seat of the nonprofit leadership role.
And you talk about the nonprofit leadership role. I've known you over the years. You've had various roles. We talk about nonprofits. Talk about where they currently stand in terms of challenges. And as you know, this is a business show. It's not a political show. So we want to make sure it's crystal clear. But especially with all the things coming out of Washington, D.C., what are some of the significant challenges that you're seeing confronting nonprofits today? And then how do they differ from 3 or 4 years ago when you worked in that space?
The cleanest way to say the challenge right now is the uncertainty. Our leaders are in the nonprofit sector in particular, when there isn't uncertainty, are managing really complex, difficult problems, right? So when we're serving in our community, our servants are juggling many things, right? They're managing their boards, they're managing their constituents, they're supporting um, our social safety net. And when the information coming out of Washington is changing regularly, it's difficult to know what the future of funding will be. And that's really where we see a lot of organizations looking for guidance and support. Fortunately, we have really strong leadership in Michigan in this capacity. So with the Council on Michigan Foundations and the Michigan Nonprofit Association, they're really supporting our sector at the national level and at the state level to make sure that our nonprofit organizations are really well informed. But that uncertainty really takes the nonprofit leader's eye off the ball of serving, right? When we're confused and trying to imagine what's next for funding and for regulations, it becomes really challenging to focus on the real opportunities in front of us.
When you talk about those challenges, how is Mondo helping these nonprofits to navigate those challenges? As you know, by doing an annual workshop we just had. And by the way, I want to thank everyone as an aside who came to this year's 11th annual Small Business Workshop, where we focused, Trish, on uncertainty. And we had a full house. We had a record number of registrations this year. I'm honored for that. But the point I'm saying here is that workshop was focused on uncertainty. And let's take it back to the nonprofit side. How is Mondo helping these nonprofits navigate those challenges? What are some of the opportunities from your perspective?
The best way for me to answer that, because our clients are at varying stages of their fundraising and their strategic journeys. And
Okay.
so when we partner with nonprofits, we meet them where they are. Lately, that's been in really offering a position of support and I'm not a therapist, but oftentimes our
Right.
team is providing what feels like nonprofit therapy. You are going to be okay. I know this is scary. I know this is hard. We've also provided some pro bono support to some of our organizations as they're facing uncertainty with their federal funding. Um, we've seen that in greater need lately, and that's just being responsive to our longstanding partners.
When you talk about that fundraising side, we know on the business side, the for-profit side, that access to capital is always the number one challenge, particularly for small businesses, even larger organizations, although larger organizations certainly have the resources where smaller businesses don't have the same level of resources. But we know that access to capital is always the number one issue based on surveys that have been done over the years. So let's talk about the fundraising challenges. I'm sure the dollars are very limited. So what approaches do you do, or how do you support the nonprofits in terms of addressing the fundraising challenges as well?
It's similar in some ways to how we supported our organizations during COVID, right? I think the instinct was to take your foot off the gas and to be mindful of not asking. And our council is the exact opposite of that. Now is the time to continue to share more loudly, share more consistently. What is the need and what are you doing to address that need? There are really beautiful concerted efforts for nonprofits to communicate with legislation to make sure that their voice is heard. And that's really critical right now. And so we're working with our nonprofit organizations to think not only about what they can do right now in real time to
Mhm.
continue their partnerships with other nonprofit organizations, with their boards, with their funders, but also to be thinking into the future. So while we're typically working with nonprofits a year to 2 years in the future, right now we're seeing a unique need for multiple scenario planning opportunities, right? If $2 million of funding is not on the table, what do you do? How do you support your constituents? And so um, while we're always flexible to the needs of our clients, there's an increased need in that flexibility in particular right now.
And another part, it sounds like I'm not sure how big Mondo is in terms of employees and things of that sort, but that's a lot to chew off in terms of addressing these challenges. How is your structure? You have advisors, I believe, in the field that kind of help you to navigate. Talk about your structure because there are a lot of challenges for nonprofits. How are you managing from an employee perspective as well?
I mean, I'm not going to lie, Mark, the challenges of being a small business owner, in particular, serving the
Mhm.
nonprofit sector, and this time it's really tricky. Um, we started Mondo, and just to answer your question, we have 3 full-time employees and we have a bench of about 6 different advisors that we pull in as they want to plug in on the projects, and two, as their skills best align with the needs of the organizations. And so that was really intentional. There are lots of brilliant people who don't necessarily want to work full time for one organization, but do have the skills and the ability to serve in this sector. And so Mondo is a home for those folks to be able to provide their expertise in this time. Um, in this structure, it provides really great flexibility for my team. But the challenge for us right now is how do we forecast our business needs and the opportunity and align with the opportunities to serve in the nonprofit sector, because our clients are social impact organizations that are concerned sometimes about their funding. It's difficult for us as a small business to forecast 6 months to a year what our runway is going to look like. And
Yeah.
so my challenge as the business owner is how do we diversify our partnerships? How do we, one, first and foremost, solve the challenges in our sector while also being mindful of the team and the needs on our team? And um, so while we're juggling that uncertainty, we're also focused on supporting one another. Wellness is at the core of our philosophy. We're curious about one another and how to support one another in our business world as well as servants in the sector.
I want to stay down this track. we stay on track for a second when it comes to employees and specifically employee retention. It's no secret. We know that employee retention is certainly a challenge, certainly coming out of pandemics, which is was now 5 years ago, which is hard to believe. Some organizations are still grappling with this thing called employee retention, not necessarily attraction. I want to focus on the employee retention. And I know that you have a significant uh, space in that sandbox, so to speak. So talk about how you're helping nonprofits focus on employee retention and what tips would you give to them?
Well, our business is really twofold. So we have our talent attraction piece and we also have the advising space. When we're working with clients who are looking to attract new leaders to the space, we reverse engineer the conversation, right? What makes you as an organization attractive to potential candidates who will be looking to come to work for your organization? And so we lead our nonprofit organizations through their own personal interrogation so that they begin to understand what makes them not only an attractive place to come to work, but an attractive place to stay. So what does that look like in real time? Um, we ask our nonprofits to consider what professional development opportunities do you provide resources for your new leaders when they come into this space? What additional resources do you provide to your nonprofit leaders as far as capacity building and team building? Because um, while we know skills will get somebody a job, it's that feeling of being home that will keep them in an organization. And so when we're doing that on the talent attraction side, it's in advance of bringing somebody on the team. When we're working in the consulting space with our clients, we're always trying to figure out how can we as Mondo make the team stronger and feel more confident in their skills and their abilities so that they have more stickiness as they're doing their jobs in the day to day.
Okay. And as we begin to wrap up, since it's your time, I appreciate your time. We're talking to Trish Dewald, and she's the founder and CEO of Mondo Unlimited here in Metro Detroit. And let's talk about my other, the other piece I want to talk about, if I could talk this morning, is focus on the executive search piece. You're also providing support in the executive search space or executive recruiting. Talk about that and what specifically are the industries that you think are really beginning to expand as this economy is kind of uncertain right now, but what industries are really beginning to continue to grow and look for talent?
Well, in the nonprofit space, talent attraction and retention can be tricky, right? The people that work in this space have tremendous hearts, but they're also brilliant business people as well, right? I don't subscribe to the idea that the nonprofit sector is separate from the business sector. We have a very important role to play in the economy, um, and we attract brilliant and amazing professionals in these capacities. Where we're seeing a lot of churn right now in this space is with executive directors who have led through crisis, who are tired. And I really can't underemphasize that our sector hasn't done a great job at supporting its Black and Brown leaders, in particular women who serve in this sector. And so I'm seeing a lot of leaders that fit that profile that are feeling defeated, um, exiting the sector, right? Maybe earlier than they typically would have because the funding is tricky, the boards are tricky, and the missions are really important and vital, and they know that. Um, but we're losing some really beautiful talent in our sector, and that to me feels a little scary, a lot scary. And so to solve for that, organizations, strong organizations, are looking for ways to attract and retain talent that has both institutional knowledge and um, and support them with resources so that they feel not only supported in their roles but also supported in their lives because we're juggling lots of varying challenges right now.
And it is alarming to hear you say that it's a challenge with black and brown folks, if you will, in that space, and that people are maybe leaving or considering other opportunities. So when you hear that, what is the story to tell those individuals to come into this space? So we're hearing about the out migration as part of this conversation. What is the appeal for the in-migration as opposed to the out-migration, right? So the in-migration. What do you tell those individuals who are looking to get into the nonprofit space and why?
Find a mentor. Find community in this place and space. Nobody has to do this work alone. And that's advice that I would give folks in the for-profit sector as well, right? Jobs, jobs are jobs. But when you choose to pursue a career in the social impact sector, you're choosing something really special. And it can feel lonely, but it doesn't have to. So find community, put yourself in the room where folks are excited about their work. And when you're feeling down or perhaps challenged, find people that can support you and lift you up because this is heartful work. Even when it's challenging, there's still tremendous amount of beauty in being in the social impact sector.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as we wrap up, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to say whatever you want to say in closing, share the website, anything else that you want to say in 30 seconds or 30 seconds or less.
I don't know about 30 seconds, but thank you.
All right, I'll give you
Tremendous,
45. I'll
tremendous
give you 45.
gratitude. Tremendous gratitude for you inviting Mondo Unlimited. It's mondounlimited.com. We follow us on LinkedIn and our socials. That's where folks can find access to our pro bono services, our consulting services, what positions we're recruiting for and other organizations are also recruiting for. We're vehicles, right? We don't own the solutions. We want our organizations to be stronger and better for having worked with us. So find us, say hello to us, and thank you.
Well, Trish, Dewald, I want to thank you very much. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this week's edition of In the Conference with Mark Ashley. Yes, it is summer. We're not tricking you. It is summer. Get out, enjoy the warm weather. And hey, this time of year is nothing like Michigan. And you get out and enjoy the Great Lakes the entire season. So go make it a great day and make it a great weekend. Again, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button down low and continue to spread the word as well about In the Conference with Mark Ashley. All right, go out, make it a great day, make it a great week. We'll check you out next time in the Conference with Mark Ashley. Bye, everyone.